Welcome to another edition of Park Talk Podcast, the official podcast of the Naperville Park District, where you can engage your senses.
Welcome back to our Park Talk Podcast studio for our second series, where we'll hear from leaders and pioneers of emerging sports in our area. I'm Sue Omenson, Community Development Manager for the Naperville Park District, and I'll be your host for this series. In today's episode, we're going to hear a story of how the sport of field hockey came to Naperville and how it's on its way to becoming a high school sport. I'm excited to welcome our guest, Monica Lodge, who has practically single-handedly brought the game of field hockey to Naperville, her daughter Sophia, a field hockey player, and Brock Atwell, program manager for the Park District. And thanks everyone for being here today. And Monica, I know the game of field hockey may be unfamiliar to some of our listeners. Would you please explain a little about what field hockey is, why it's a great game, and how your family discovered it?
I guess our family discovered it when we lived on the East Coast and our daughters played field hockey. So if you're familiar with lacrosse or soccer, the game is played in a very similar manner on a field. And for the most part, it is played on a turf field, but you have a very hard round ball and what some would look at as a very short ice hockey stick, but it's just a shorter stick that's played, so the ball is played on the ground versus lacrosse, where you're throwing the ball. Field hockey, you're moving the ball with a stick on the ground. Field hockey is predominantly played in the fall, which means, especially for a lot of athletes, they can be multi-sport athletes. I think coaches are now starting to realize the benefit of having their athletes maybe step away for a little bit from the one sport that they do, adding another sport, and again, just kind of keeping them healthy from top to bottom. So,
yeah, and studies are starting to support that the well-rounded athlete is the athlete that is successful. I think we're finding that a lot of the Olympic athletes grew up playing multiple sports and didn't focus in on one sport until later in life. So it's not just Monica saying that, it's not just me saying that. There are statistics that back that information up.
So Monica, when you moved to Naperville 5 years ago, there were no field hockey teams here, but you said there was a high school team in Glen Ellen with a group of parents that became your key advisors.
We made a game plan from there and went to the high school. Went to Naperville North High School, which is where my kids would be going to school, and met with the athletic director and the dean of student activities. We are now IHSA. We're not sanctioned, but we've been deemed an emerging sport, so which is exciting. It's just like another milestone. So we do everything to make sure that we run exactly the way all the other sports did. So we have a fantastic relationship with the athletic department, with student activities, with facilities. It was truly a mesh of a lot of people putting in a lot of work and a lot of patience across the board.
Brock, could you tell us a little bit about what brought field hockey to
Sure.
the Park District?
Well, in short, Monica, she definitely backed up her promise to her daughters to bring it here to Naperville. Monica contacted me several years ago, letting us know that she would like to bring field hockey to Naperville. And I'll be honest, I had not heard much about field hockey. I didn't know much about it. And we're contacted probably weekly by people with an idea. Along with Monica's awesome persistence, she had a group of girls that were already interested. And that was a huge obstacle to overcome because a lot of times we're allocating field space and it's field space that we really don't have. So we have to find, ways to make that field space happen. She had a group of girls and we knew that it would run. We knew that there was a group already established that would participate. So those growing pains were somewhat alleviated by the fact that there were girls that were already interested. So Monica and I sat down, had several conversations. Like she said, it took some patience because it was brand new. There wasn't much in the way of equipment or field space, or our park staff didn't know what the requirements were when it comes to the turf. Field hockey is primarily played on synthetic fields, and we just didn't have the space at the time. So we found some space at Brush Hill Park. The girls went out there. To the credit of our park staff, they made sure the grass was at an adequate length so that the girls could play and play the right way. And so, year one, there were, I don't remember how many girls exactly, but there weren't a ton.
There was maybe 6 or 8. This past fall, we had 22 girls at the junior high level, and we'd show up for our games, and the girls would be wearing their brand new Naperville field hockey pennies. And some of the parents from the other schools were like, wow, that's intimidating, 22 girls showing up. And in some cases, we had to share some players, which was,
wow,
highly unusual for us to actually do that. And it was fantastic to actually be able to have the number of girls that we did, and across the age spectrum too. The Park District partnership has been instrumental in growing and sustaining the program, without a doubt.
Much like some of the new up-and-coming sports, it gives girls an opportunity. In a community like Naperville, unless you are a stud athlete, good luck getting on the floor, the court, the field. It's very difficult, and a lot of times you have to have played that sport since you were 2 years old, and sometimes that's not even good enough. So a sport like field hockey, while it does bring athletes, it's a new sport, and it gives girls an opportunity that may not have played field hockey. They can pick up a stick in 8th grade, freshman year, and they can actually play and participate. They don't have to sit the bench and just cheer their teammates on. So it's a great opportunity for Naperville girls, potentially Naperville boys someday.
And Brock, can you tell people what opportunities might be available like this next coming season?
Sure.
And even in the fall through the Park District for field hockey?
Monica has established some great partnerships, and I'll let her touch on one that she was just able to work out over the last couple months. But we have a spring program coming up. The dates are April 13th through May 18th. It's a Friday program. They meet early evening out at Nike Sports Complex on the synthetic field. And that's another step that we've taken. Now the primary location, the home, if you will, for field hockey is our synthetic field at Nike.
And new to the Park District field hockey program this spring is Rise Field Hockey, an organization that offers travel teams and clinics for players who want to take that next step. And again, Monica, you had the vision to bring Rise to Naperville when the time was right and you saw the need.
So bringing Rise in has given girls the opportunity, given all the girls in Naperville an opportunity, because we've got a solid logistical program behind us that provides us the opportunity to rent fields like Naperville Yard and have winter sessions and spring sessions, and being able to provide girls opportunities for travel team and leagues and other things. So that kind of helps. I think it will help advance the girls in Naperville, their skills and opportunities. And that was sort of the crux of why I decided to bring Rise into Naperville.
It only makes sense to bring in a group that has already seen that growth and has gone through it before. And honestly, it's very similar to the sport of lacrosse. When I started with the district 13 years ago, lacrosse, while it was already established, it was a growing sport. It was a very young sport. And now, as we all know, there are 3, 4, 5 high school levels within each high school. And we're seeing, if you put lacrosse next to field hockey, we're seeing that same growth. It's following that same path. And there's no question to me, long after Monica and myself, field hockey will be very popular. It'll be a high school sport here in Naperville. And again, give kids another opportunity to participate in something.
And another way field hockey is growing in Naperville is through Monica's PE clinics in the junior highs.
So I kind of think back to when we first started and how we first introduced the sport was doing these PE clinics. And we'd, bring in all these sticks and the balls, and the kids were looking at the equipment and had no idea what we were going to be introducing to them. And it was kind of funny to sit back and watch them. But now, flash forward 5 years. We've been here 5 years now. Now I bring the equipment in, and the girls are very excited, and everybody knows, oh, it's field hockey today. And the neat part too is some of the PE teachers are also starting to get get into it. So they're actually engaged as well in the PE clinics. They're learning how to play the sport. They're learning how to coach the sport. So it is really kind of evolving. So to kind of start with the PE clinics and then roll it into the Park District program. So come the fall, we will have our traditional Park District program that we run. We've, like Brock and I had talked about before, we've grown the program pretty substantially. We had 22 girls on our junior high team last fall. We hope to continue that growth. But now with bringing Rise in, the girls will actually have an opportunity to not only play Park District field hockey and learn the sport and grow with it. If some of those girls are ready for the more challenging opportunities, they can then try out and potentially be on a travel team and do more field hockey outside of what we will also be doing through the Park District, whether it's clinics, it's a junior high team, summer camps, and anything else we will provide through the Park District.
One of Naperville's most experienced field hockey players is Monica's daughter, Sophia, now in 8th grade. When did you start playing field hockey?
I started playing field hockey when I was in about 1st or 2nd grade, so about just before we moved here.
Besides it just sort of being in your family and around you, what made you want to continue playing field hockey?
I just kind of really enjoyed it, and I've made a lot of friends playing, and I've known the high schoolers, and it's just kind of made me a better player by doing all that. So
I love the way the high school girls can teach the middle school girls some of those skills and the teamwork too.
I mean, when we first started 5 years ago, Sophia would join us at the high school practices every day. So there she was on the sidelines practicing her drives and her push passes and dribbles. And so she's had the field hockey stick in her hand and for quite a while, and has been instrumental in also trying to encourage other girls in her grade and her class to come and try the sport and enjoy it. And because her enthusiasm is as contagious and helpful as well to help grow the sport.
Our final question is, what are some of the goals for the coming years in field hockey?
So when I kind of sit back and I think about some of the successes, there's so many different layers to that and kind of the future I see. And whether it's watching a girl for the first time become a field athlete, to a girl that thought she'd never be an athlete before, fell in love with not only field hockey, but running. And to me, the success, not the fact that she learned field hockey, but she learned how much she loved to run. And she played with us for a couple of years, moved to the cross country, and is now running at the D3 level. So that to me is a huge success too, where her parents told me that they never thought, and their daughter never thought she could be an athlete. And she found something in herself on the field. I guess future for field hockey, I would love to see field hockey opportunities across the board in Naperville. Whether it's Naperville Central or any of the 204 schools, there are parent boards that are establishing themselves to hopefully get high school programs in other high schools. So that could be definitely the future success, I think, of Naperville, is growing the Park District program as the feeder to all the high schools in Naperville and bring those opportunities to all the girls.
Thank you for listening. Be sure to submit your comments, suggestions, and questions for our mailbag segment through our website at napervilleparks.org/podcasts. Additional information on Naperville Park District programs and services can be found at napervilleparks.org. The Naperville Park District's mission is to provide recreation and park experiences that promote healthy lives, healthy minds, and a healthy community. Park Talk Podcast is a production of the Naperville Park District.